Hey Flippamos! So welcome back to Favorite Fun Friday. For the last case for this week, we are going back to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, specifically Philadelphia. This case is another well-known case. I definitely am going to say that our suspect got off light considering the crime that she did and considering how worse that it could have gotten, considering the lengths that she would have gone to get what she was trying to get. And so the reason why I'm being vague, because I don't want to give away too many details now. Once I get to the story, you'll see what I'm talking about. And so with that being said, always let me know if you know anybody involved in the case, if you worked on the case, you're related to anybody in the family, what the family's doing now, all that good stuff. And so with that being said, I'm gonna quit my rambling, sources down below as always, and let's go and get started. So we gotta start off with a couple named Luz and Pedro Vera. They apparently get married, and they have two sons named Wilfredo, who is 5, and Israel, who are 4. And Luz and Pedro apparently are from Puerto Rico. They moved to the United States and apparently have their children here. And Wilfredo and Israel apparently are like 5 and 4 at the time the story takes place. So there's a third child that comes in. It's a daughter. She is named Delimar Vera. And she's born December 5th, 1997. This will wind up hurting Pedro later, and you'll see what I mean. But even though Pedro was the father, he didn't sign the birth certificate for Delimar. And apparently, despite being in the United States all these years, he did not speak English that good. And understandably, you're not about to sign something you don't understand. And apparently, there was no translator on deck, even though this is 1997, so you would think there would be. And there wasn't, so he just didn't sign the birth certificate. Even though I would assume there's been a DNA test since then, and Pedro was the father. So on December 15th, Delimar is only like 10 days old, if that, depending on if you're going off time or day, but she's technically like she's 10 days old. And so Pedro's cousin by marriage, Carolyn Castillo, visits. She's born in February 1962. In 1996, she gets fired from her job as a town clerk for apparently theft. So obviously, I'm assuming she's stealing from the job, because, that's how you get fired. And she would try to cover this, even though, I don't know what her thought process was. She would try to cover this by burning the building down. She also gets caught because they connected back to her, and she's sentenced to like 5 years probation. So by the time of our story, Carolyn is a mother of 3. And she gets the procedure done to where she can't have any more kids. Don't know if it's just the 2 tides. She had them burned, cut off, and then specified, just said, you can't have no more kids, biologically. But she would get a boyfriend named Andre, and Andre apparently really wanted a kid with her. So this is one of those cases where somebody's faking a pregnancy, and we got to abduct a baby. So apparently she went to Pedro's house the Vera house, under basically the false claim that something was wrong with her car. So, and obviously Pedro being a cousin, even though he's a cousin by marriage, that's still family. You help family out. Because, this is back in the day. And so like I said, Pedro is fixing Carolyn's car. And obviously Carolyn is inside with Luz. And obviously they don't know each other that well, so there's not as much conversation. Luz goes upstairs to go put Delimar up. Because like I said, she's a baby. We put her down. Some of y'all know how hard it is for put babies to sleep. So while Pedro is fixing Carolyn's car, she is inside with Luz, and obviously apparently they don't know each other that well. Literally the only reason that Carolyn is even associated with them, because remember, she's Pedro's cousin by marriage. So I guess like they had never met, or they had met, but it was like briefly, like they didn't really discuss, and there wasn't like a middle person there to keep the conversation going. So Luz proceeds to put Delimar upstairs, put her to sleep, because again, she's 10 days old, fresh out the womb, baby's got to sleep. While Luz is apparently doing housework, Carolyn would apparently go upstairs to the bedroom that Delimar had, because, she's the only girl, so I can imagine, she has her own room, and goes in there, goes out of the window, opens the bedroom window, goes out of it with Delimar, so pretty much we're over abducting Delimar over here, and then, so took Delimar out of the window with her, came back to the window, did not close the windows, because this is important. She then went downstairs, went out to the front door like she normally would, and then came back and said, oh, I left my purse. Because obviously you can't be just leaving your purse at everybody's house. And then it said that when she came back in the house, that's when she set Delimar's bedroom on fire to kind of like dispose of evidence, even though, ma'am, we know you were here, but like, okay. I guess like you need physical evidence that she was here. So then she leaves with her car. And then, again, while Luz is still doing housework, apparently she hears like this loud like bang sound coming from upstairs from Delimar's room. So understandably, she goes upstairs and goes checks on what that noise could be. And then this is when she sees a fire. She proceeds to get her 2 sons out of the house, the 2 sons that she had like prior to Delimar. She gets them out of the house. Neighbors are apparently trying to put out the fire. She's over screaming that Delimar's window's open and she's not like in the room. So like somebody kidnapped her. Firefighters would get there and apparently put the fire out in like 14 minutes. So pretty quick, because apparently the fire was like really bad. And understandably, like they can't find Delimar. They don't obviously know that Carolyn took Delimar, but Luz is obviously freaking out because this is a whole ass defenseless baby. And so firefighters are saying that Delimar did die in the fire, despite there being like no bones in the open window. And again, it's December in Pennsylvania. From what I've heard, it's cold up there. So why is the window open? But they're like, it's shock, probably postpartum, because again, you just gave birth, and from the fire. And so, yeah. And so, the cause of the fire that they gave was a rigged extension cord that was near the baby's crib. Like, from a space heater that was near the baby's crib. And apparently that's what they say caused the fire in the house. They never officially give Delimar a death certificate because there wasn't a body. And apparently, it was in Pennsylvania, at least you need a body to prove that somebody is apparently deceased. Carolyn takes Delimar back to Andre and says, look, I did give birth. I was pregnant. There's your child. And she goes and gets a birth certificate for Delimar, also under a different name, with the birthday of January 6, 1998. And then apparently they moved to New Jersey, and she puts Delimar in pageants and apparently acting roles, and apparently one of the well-known acting roles that she got was Blue's Clues. So then in 1999, Carolyn apparently confesses to Andre that you're not the father. Doesn't confess that, I kidnapped this child for you because you wanted kids so bad, but she just says that he's not the father, so understandably, I assume he's under the assumption that she cheated, because like, if I'm not the father, then who is. We don't see anything more about Andre after that, so I assume he dipped after finding out he's not the daddy. So then, the family, they apparently moved like several times. They eventually wound up having a son named Samuel 2 years later, with Delimar still missing. Pedro apparently actually tells his coworkers that, I believe somebody in the family is the reason why, like, my daughter's missing. They specified Carolyn specifically, but said it was an inside job. Somebody in the family knows. So then in 1999, so like 2 years after disappearance, they go to a baby shower, and apparently they see Delimar there, but she's under the name of Leah. And Pedro apparently knows that this is my child, because why does she look so much like you? And compared to a baby picture of her and what she was like at this point, it's pretty undeniable that could be her. And so Luz was like, we need $500 for a private investigator to confirm this is our child. Well, Pedro apparently didn't have that money. So then they were like, we can go hire a lawyer, but I think the cheapest lawyer they found was something about $100 an hour, and who knows how long this is going to take. And again, we can't even afford a $500 investigator then. So then in January, so apparently, unfortunately, the stress from Delimar's disappearance would cause Pedro and Luz to split. So then in January 2004, apparently there is a birthday party that is thrown by Pedro's cousin Evelyn for her granddaughter. Okay. And so then Luz, Pedro, they all go. Because even though we're divorced, that's still family. So, yeah. So they go, and then apparently Luz sees Delimar, knows that's her daughter, goes over to her, is like, hey, there's something in your hair, there's some gum. And obviously, what kid is gonna want to walk around with gum in their hair? So if somebody's offering to help get it out, obviously you're gonna let them get it out. There's no gum, though. She's pretending. She gets a little hair sample, DNA. She goes to a state representative, is like, look, I know my child. I saw my child. And somehow after an hour of talking to the state representative, she was able to convince them to get a DNA test between her and Delimar. And sure enough, obviously, it's Delimar. So then they're like, okay, well, let's see a DNA test between Carolyn and Delimar. Obviously, that result comes back as a fail because there's no relation there. And then they were like, okay, we'll do a second test because sometimes these things can be wrong. Because like I said, 2004, DNA is not as advanced as it is now. So, right before they do the second test, apparently, Carolyn puts a little solution into Delimar's mouth. Doesn't specify what the solution is, but apparently there's some liquid shit they put in her mouth, and it's don't swallow that shit until after the swab test is done. So basically, she's trying to fuck up the results so that way she can get away with what she's been getting away with for practically the past almost 7 years. So then obviously, luckily the results still came back. This is not your child. So then Carolyn flees. She's found 3 days later, arrested, and held on $1 million bond. So then, of course, Carolyn is charged with kidnapping, arson, assault, interfering with the whereabouts of a child, and interfering with custody of a child. And so psychologists apparently would do some tests on Delimar. And so they were concerned about the connection that Luz and Delimar would have, because apparently Luz spoke mostly Spanish, whereas Delimar apparently spoke mostly English, so there's going to be that language barrier. And as far as she knows, Carolyn's been her mom pretty much her whole life. So there's going to be some confusion. And apparently, despite only being 6, she was able to understand the situation once it was explained to her. And so obviously, like I said, the parents are split, so they wind up having split custody of Delimar. So then Carolyn's defense attorneys will try to say that Carolyn suffered from condition. Basically, it's like where you think you're pregnant, but you're actually not. And that Pedro was an accomplice because, look, he didn't even sign a birth certificate. So that shows that he didn't even want his child. Because remember I said in the beginning, man didn't know English. So he went for to sign something he didn't know what it was. And so she tried, I don't know how she knew of that, but she tried to use that against him. And Pedro also denies this. She's sentenced to 30 years with a minimum of 9 years. So I assume for like good behavior and shit. She gets released in 2015. And obviously is not allowed contact with Delimar, even though Delimar is a whole adult now. Or any other family members. So then in 2008, a movie called Little Girl Lost, the Delimar Vera story, was released. Obviously, based, as you can see on titles, obviously based off the story I just told you. And then Delimar, because she's a grown woman now, she would get married on October 8th, 2020. And it looks like she has a pretty somewhat active Instagram. So yeah, with that being said, that is the case of the disappearance of Delimar Vera. Definitely know what you think down below. Do you think Carolyn should get a heavier sentence, considering the other people in the house that she could have potentially killed? Just trying to get Delimar's ass. Just keep this man. Does anybody know where Honor is at now? Because there's really no mention of him after Carolyn's at, this isn't your child. Does anybody know where Carolyn's at now? That's the real question we need to be asking. If anybody knows anybody involved in this case, basically just let me know down below. Sources down below as always. I cover fatal females 3 times every Friday. Subscribe for more fatal females, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
So if I play dead, will you regret everything that you did, that you said? I don't think you understand what you're doing, and my heart's black and blue from the bruising. I feel like when I'm with you I'm losing. I feel like you think that this amusing, sitting there gaslighting and confusing. Was it me? Is it me? Am I deluded? I'm the one who's always sorry, the conclusion. Even though I offer all of the solutions, I wish you loved me like I love you, it's stupid. When I'm alone with you I never feel lucid. I wish I wasn't struck by Cupid.